Good morning, everyone, in the special Christmas episode of umbraCoffee number 206. Hello, Rune. Hello, Callum. How are you guys?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Very good as well. Maybe not that in the Christmas mood yet, but I have a younger daughter birthday today, some Christmas parties. So yeah, I will definitely align myself till the end of the year. What about you?
I feel massively underdressed because I see both of you are wearing lovely Christmas jumpers, which is not really my style. But we have our Christmas tree up, so I can. Well,
that counts.
Yeah, that counts.
Yeah, and again, it's one of these crazy weeks in the end of the year where everything is wrapped up, everything is prepared, everything is counted down till the end of something to begin something else, etc. But yeah, it's good. And Rune, it's become a tradition partially to have you as a special Christmas guest. So we are very glad that you joined us today.
I'm happy to. I can see in the intro there's even.
I was going to say
with the Christmas hat on. So I didn't wear that today, but I have the Christmas sweater.
There was a lot of Christmas stuff in that intro, but I think you maybe appeared 4 or 5 times in there as well, Rune. You are one of our favorite guests.
Aw. You're my favorite coffee show. And
you guys are the favorite umbraCoffee channel on YouTube. Not really the best one. Cool. So yeah, let's go through the news. Then we can probably focus for a while on some summaries, maybe some takeaways from this crazy year. And yeah, as usual in December, 24 days. We all need to find time to catch up on all of the articles. But as usual, the great team behind 24 Days plus the great set of authors delivers an amazing amount of content about Umbraco and not only. I need to check calendar when we cut off last week. It was 10th of December. So starting from 11th, there was a 100 Days of Code article by Nurhag, Authenticating and Authorizing Umbraco 9 by Sven, Power of Diagnostic Tools by Lucas, Configuring Umbraco Load Balancer by Danish and Muhammad. Adrian wrote about CQRS and Umbraco, and Jesper wrote two articles about setting up YAML pipelines together with Azure DevOps. Guys, anything what you've been up to read through this week? Anything personal favorite for your perspective?
I think the 3 most recent. So Jesper, when I was in Denmark, Jesper and I were talking about this, and he said he was writing an article for 24 days, and it didn't disappoint at all, because he's been kind of setting up from scratch their CI/CD setup on DevOps for his agency, and so it's kind of a fresh pair of eyes going at it from doing everything that they wanted to do, and yeah, it's a very, very detailed set of instructions, so that's great. And then the CQRS one is, I don't think there was any surprises in there, but it's actually good to see that kind of information out in the open. It's not something that I think the Umbraco community talks about too much. I think maybe historically the Umbraco community's been a little bit more. I'm going to say something I regret here. It's been less, say, software engineering oriented and more web development oriented. And I think the way that .NET is going is things are more software engineering oriented now, if you're working with .NET and building things. And so patterns like this will become more commonplace in the Umbraco sphere. People will become more aware of them, and it's great to see Adrian kicking that off, I think.
Yeah,
definitely.
Hopefully.
Very nice.
And Rune, what about you? Do you follow the series this year?
I mean, I try to. I have to admit that this week I haven't really gotten around to it. Had an incredibly busy end of the year week. So I've only skimmed a couple of them. I'm pretty surprised to see 2 articles about YAML. It seems like maybe it was a 2020 thing, but everyone was complaining about YAML at some point. That was my entire Twitter feed, I remember. And now it seems like
it's cool. It was cool to hate it, and now it's cool to love it.
Only true hardcore developers love YAML. Yeah, I must say. But I was amazed by these articles. I also skimmed through them all just so far. But there's so many great things that you can do with it, and still there will be YAML behind the scenes, even if the UI or language will change, because that's how it's powered behind. And any previous ones that you've remembered, Rune, maybe from the series this year?
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's nice to name favorites, but I could say the one that's resonated the most with me is Busras.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really amazing article. And actually, I recognize a lot from my own life in there, and I just thought it was very brave, and there's a lot of good tips actually in there as well on how to think. I guess I thought. I mean, I really like seeing those things sprinkled in, as well as all the awesome technical stuff that's on 24 days. It just seems to get better and better every year. Both the technical posts, but also with more work-life balance stuff and things like that. So really good to see.
Every year there's complaints. Someone complains, oh, it's not as technical as it used to be, oh, it's too many. I think the balance this year is really good. It's some heavy technical stuff in there, like really heavy technical stuff. The CQRS one, the articles about DevOps pipelines, Joe Glombeck's article about magic strings. Like there's a lot of quite technical stuff in there, which is really awesome to see. And then, I think Busra has been a fan favorite, hasn't it? And for those that don't know, there's actually a video of that as well. So Busra did a kind of a visual version of that for the festive tech calendar or something. So I'll put a link down below for that as well. It's
nice,
really nice to see that visualized.
Yeah. And then if I can give a little shout out to one of my colleagues, Mikkel, he wrote I think a really nice blog post about
the cloud one.
What they do on cloud when they roll out upgrades. It is literally like thousands and thousands of sites, and I know automation is a big part of it, right? So if you can do it on 1 or 2, then you should be able to do it on 1,000 or 5,000, right? But it's just amazing to me, and all the improvements they've done this year is it's really awesome to see.
You've reminded me to go back and reread that one, because it came last Friday, which was an incredibly busy day. Actually, no, we were on our Christmas party. Sorry.
Yes, you were away.
Busy day of whiskey tasting and stuff, but I missed that one, and I really wanted to read it. So thank you, Rune, for the reminder.
Yeah. Plus, of course, I wanted to highlight that it was a great insight story from how you do it on the HQ level, and that's also always interesting, because we many people are thinking how it's done, how it works, how you manage it, and now maybe it will be easier to understand how and why things are working, and what can be done on top of it. And that's an amazing story, because the infrastructure is growing, and also we'll be talking about it in a while when it comes to the cloud generally upgrades. But yeah, great to see the series, and again, it's so far day 17 from 24, so still some good articles and many more articles upcoming. Really looking forward to it. Plus, I still I have 2 days at the end of the year where I always catch up on this, so it's in somewhere always in between of the Christmas itself and the end of the year. So yeah, busy time ahead. Hope to really catch up on many of them. And yeah, thanks for all the authors and amazing people behind the initiative for delivering
10 years going now, right? It's amazing.
Yeah. Amazing. Kudos to all of them. Umbraco 9, Rune, your 2 great articles released this week as well. One tackling the 9.2 release candidate, and second Umbraco Cloud. Tell us more. Summarize this from your perspective. Of course, we'll share the links to articles. But what would you say to all the people who maybe didn't see it yet?
I mean, it's pretty crazy to think that we've already got the second minor on Umbraco 9 coming in just a few short weeks. It's out a little later than normally, so it'll be out on the 6th of January. Just last year we had a release between Christmas and New Year, and it just really doesn't make sense. Nobody wants that, so we postponed it a week. But yeah, it's a bit smaller than the releases we've done recently, which is nice. There's still a ton of stuff in there. I think the biggest new feature is the package telemetry, which is quite interesting. We want to make it easier and better for package authors to kind of get an idea of how many people are using the packages. And that's, of course, also valuable information for us at HQ, especially when we look forward to 2022 Umbraco Marketplace, which there's been talk about in the recent year and things like that. So it's kind of laying the groundworks for a lot of that stuff. Not a lot to test for that feature in the release candidate because we're not really using the data for it yet. But you can enable it in your package manifest and things like that.
I saw a request from Anders Bjørne on GitHub on the pull request that it would be great to be able to do that in C# code as well in backend code, which I'd love to see. Maybe it's not going to make it into 9.2 given that the release is not that far off, but I think that would be a fantastic addition as well. It's something that I've wanted in Umbraco for a long time, and I know that I think Lee Kelleher has been doing in Contentment his own telemetry stuff, so tracking usage of different data types, which is awesome. This isn't that, but it's just great to see more and more of that type of thing coming into the core, because
and of course this could expand going forward, right? For now it's mostly installs on different versions of packages we're looking at.
Even then
it is the first step in the right direction.
I've seen package authors claiming they've got incredibly popular packages being downloaded 500 times a day, and on NuGet, and that might be true, but on NuGet you can actually go and you can look at the breakdown of all those downloads and see what client is requesting them, and whether it's, say, the Visual Studio GUI, which would be someone installing for the first time, or if it's the CLI or Visual Studio terminal, it might be a tool that's doing it instead. And so those maybe aren't realistic stats, whereas this is kind of a heartbeat, isn't it, for a package to say, I'm here and I'm being used. Again, far more valuable. Far more valuable.
It is a bit of a service to package authors, right? So they don't have to build this themselves, because of course they're interested in, and I can imagine they're interested in getting more or better numbers than what you get with NuGet. So I think it's a really good step in the right direction.
Yeah, plus numbers gives motivation. I must admit, because especially, for example, in the WordPress world, if you have
or demotivation, I guess,
or demotivation as well. But that's always good, right? Because if you realize something, at least based on the data, it's not your guess what it is, but it's based on the data. And I think that it was something what we discussed a lot with the community and HQ as well. So it's, as you've said, it's a first step, and it's a great step towards possible extensions. And right now, probably both from package creators' perspectives and community and users, there will be more and more incoming feature requests and ideas on how to use it more efficiently, and what maybe purposes or what data can be tracked on top of it. So that's really great. I personally like the second feature.
That's the thing I'm most excited about.
Small things, but big differences. As a Markdown lover, I think I would mark down everything. But here it's great to see it on the property descriptions this time, right?
Yeah, and another great one from Søren Korthal.
Cool. I was quite surprised to see. Links, I think, makes so much sense, but images is an interesting one, because I wonder how that would work. I'm going to start putting GIFs on all of my properties.
For under properties names.
You just answered the question yourself.
This famous GIF pointing to the property, which is mandatory.
Perhaps a slightly loaded question, and I'm not expecting you to have an answer, Rune, but one to think about, and maybe if Soren's listening, he can say too. What kind of considerations have been made there around, say, security? Because someone could potentially inject code into the back office via that if it's not being parsed or sanitized before that markdown stuff gets rendered.
Yeah, that's a great question. I have no idea. But definitely,
I'll let Soren answer.
Just did
it.
Yeah. But that's the challenges. But again, it's the same with the GitHub, right? Sorry.
Yeah. Yep. Aside from the markdown syntax you see there, I really like the read more functionality. I think that's incredibly helpful. So you can actually collapse like an extended description of and just have so it doesn't take up too much space, right? But you can actually provide proper documentation for some of the stuff if the editors want to dive into it. I think that's just so nice,
especially with the links. Like some of our clients, we produce like walkthrough videos of certain bits of functionality. So we could then have, oh, you do this, and here's a video link that you can go and watch, or a link to say an internal wiki or some kind of something like that. In fact, we did discover some Umbraco site somewhere, they have like pages in their site of documentation of how to use their CMS, and those pages are public and you can find them on search engines. They're freely available, and it kind of gives you a lot of detail about how they've structured their CMS and the names of certain things. And it's kind of dangerous because if you knew what you were looking for, you could probably try and exploit it. We did reach out to them and never heard back, interestingly. But I guess this is something to nudge people in the right direction there. To say, you can document better or link off to other places.
Definitely.
But that's good. What's more, member properties move to Content App. That's also something new. But it's a purely separation from the identity and properties on top of the member.
It's all the default properties that have been moved over to a separate Content App. And it has actually quite a number of advantages by doing that. I mean, it's clearer that these are member properties, right? It's the default stuff that's on there. But it also means that the entire thing won't break when you start using tabs, because there was actually some issues around that with the default properties. When you started moving them around, Umbraco would try to recreate default properties because it couldn't find them and things like that. So putting them in their own separate location makes a ton of sense. And I actually think it looks nice as well.
Yep, and some dependencies updates. That's what's the last bit of the upgrade. I personally like the links.
I really love that. I love seeing dependency updates being kept on top of, because I mean, it's not so much of an issue in Visual Studio with the new package format either, because you don't see all of the dependencies that other plugins pull in. But with prior to V9, you'd have 50 odd dependencies that Umbraco pulls in, and some of them, and it would constantly say, "Hey, you've got updates," but you couldn't update them because Umbraco wasn't pushing that forward. And it's just good to know that we're staying on top of patches, isn't it?
Yeah, and this actually addresses some issues with the image cropping.
Fantastic.
When you were rendering zoomed crops, there were some issues around that, so that's fixed now. Plus, it also processes if you're doing anything else to images, like, I don't know, colorizing them, or there's a ton of stuff you can do with Image Sharp, right? So it has put the components in the correct order on startup, which actually means that now things are getting processed in the right order as well, depending on where you put them in the query string when you're building that out. So actually a couple of things have been fixed with that update.
Awesome.
And of course, that's the release candidate again to be mentioned. So everyone is welcome to test, and especially to give some tests of the upgrades and updates done within the release. There are some known issues also mentioned here, Ryan, information how to test, and before the release that will be on January 6th. There is still a lot of time to supply some of the found issues or anything else that might make this release even better. Looks good.
Awesome.
Cool. So test it out. Check it on the blog post. Explore it on your own, and share feedback. And Rune, the second one was about Umbraco Cloud. So this is one of the summaries beasts the whole year in some structure, and a lot of things happened around the cloud itself. Any smaller summary, even that this blog post or anything what you want to append to it, because that's a lot of things, I would say.
Yeah, it is. It's actually quite amazing to see how much the cloud team has delivered in 2021. I think it's definitely a testament to how we have grown at Umbraco, just in sheer size and number. but also the way we deliver stuff, I think, has changed a lot. So looking back at the year and I was just trying to collect the highlights, right? So a lot of it I have talked about in product updates before, but it turned into I don't know, I think it says a 15-minute read. It's a fairly long blog post. And yeah, I think it's just amazing to see how much has actually been done. And of course, the biggest thing is that we put in place a new infrastructure. So it was about time, I guess, in some sense. The old one was launched we launched Umbraco Cloud in 2015. So it's more than 6 years ago now. So it's time that you reassess some things, right? But we also had some issues that we simply couldn't fix on the old platform. So it was kind of time to start from scratch, and that they've been able to deliver on that alone is a big feat. But then there's all of the new stuff that's in there as well. Like, there's tons of new features. Plus, also
I didn't even know about
the releases
a lot of
and all of that.
Yeah,
loads of these things I didn't know about. It's fantastic, and I have to say, new infrastructure. Of course, I've spoken about this before. Big fan of all the stuff that's been done with V9 in the new infrastructure. But the other day, I had to fill out a report for a client security audit thing, sites on Umbraco Cloud, and it suddenly became super easy, because before it was like, well, Umbraco manages all of this stuff and we don't really know. But now it's just Azure. It's like, go check out the Azure Web App Security Guide or whatever. It's far simpler.
It's even a combination between Cloudflare and Azure, and that's just really trusted brands, right? Well, you can almost just mention those, and then people be okay, that sort of makes sense, right?
I know this is a little off topic, but whilst we're talking about cloud and Cloudflare, I was thinking, because it was last Friday, end of last week, that all of this Log4j, Log4Shell issue was kicking off worldwide, and Cloudflare, they have a web firewall product that you have to pay for, and a very, very basic one that's available for free. But they very quickly rolled out an update for every single customer to help prevent against attacks trying to exploit that, which is awesome. So everyone got that for free, and it made me think, actually, that I don't know how the hell they make any money now, because like I use it for free and I use it to host all my domains, but they don't make any markup on that, I don't think, either. It's like really, really minimal. It almost feels like they're running a company like for goodwill, kind of like open source works in many ways. And it made me think they're probably one of the coolest and most understated tech companies actually right now. They're powering huge amounts of the web that we wouldn't even realize, and they're kind of doing it all for nickels and dimes, which is very cool.
Yeah. I mean, when you start diving into some of the more advanced stuff, they've got workers and things like that, and really utilize those features that we do on cloud, right? And it also comes with a cost.
Of course it does, yeah.
So there's definitely parts of their services that they know what to charge for, which is, I mean, incredibly fair. But I mean, I think a lot of it is actually sort of brand recognition stuff. Like it's getting it out there, right? But then they have huge clients. Like I think all the big companies like Netflix and all of those, they are all using this stuff.
Yeah, we've learned about it when they had some issues with the cloud.
The entire internet goes down.
Everyone was able to realize how many big companies and websites rely on.
They deployed one configuration change that broke the link between two data centers and physically killed like half the internet in one stroke.
But that proves what you said, Callum. That they really powers a lot of not only websites, a lot of just services and internet services basically. And Rune, also, as you've said, it's easy to rely on this kind of players and brands, because they are trusted, and a lot of these things is just handled within the minutes, hours, because they know how, and they have tools and powers on the DNS levels as well to make this
exactly. Yeah, and it's just great to use services that that focus on a specific area and are really, really good at that stuff. Like you mentioned, Callum, with the security update they rolled out for the Log4j stuff. That's amazing for everyone. Everyone was really worried, right? And that's only reasonable. But that also means that we can focus on the Umbraco side of things, right? We've got other people taking care of the external stuff, and then we can focus on the Umbraco side of things, like we did this summer with Umbraco Forms, where we patched Umbraco Forms all the way back to version 4, I think, to take care of those issues, right? So it's just really nice to see.
Yeah, and from the other side, you as HQ, but from our side as the customer, like we can have more trust in the products that you're building and you're working with if we know that you're working with people that we trust as well. Yeah.
And then I think there's a couple of things that we haven't talked too much about before, but things like how we manage and handle incidents. I mean, of course, things happen when you're running a service with thousands of websites, and there are things that can happen either because the sites are misbehaving, or like there's a ton of things that can happen, right? But it's really interesting to see the response time that we have now versus what we had before. Just has increased 1,000% or more, right? Sure. So monitoring is way better. We can go in and fix things way faster, and it's way fewer sites. Instead of hundreds or even thousands of sites affected, it's just 20 sites maybe that are affected now. So
I mean, I was going to say, touch wood, there's not been a major cloud incident this year, as far as I know.
Nope.
And if you compare to previous years where it was like, oh, this is a monthly occurrence, I've not heard too many complaints, which is
no. And
really
that was a big part of the new architecture. Is also figuring out how do we avoid, to the extent that we can, right? Because things can happen with Cloudflare or Azure that's out of our hands, right? But from our side of things, we can do stuff to make sure that if something happens, it only affects a small number of sites. And we can go in and fix it really fast. And we get notified about it immediately. And things like that. So and they've really succeeded with it. I think they've done an incredible job.
Yeah, indeed. I've said this many times, but I'm really excited about that. Hopefully, becoming the go-to place to host an Umbraco site of a certain size of whatever. But yeah, sounds awesome. Marcin's back. Hey, Marcin.
Yes, of course. Some internet issues. Maybe someone cut off the Wi-Fi cables here. I'm on my mobile now, so hopefully I'm back. I was going to show one link that you I don't know if you discussed or not, but it was about having affect or not being affected by the vulnerability for Umbraco, and that's something what I searched for the first after knowing about this vulnerability at all. So I think that was also something what you've been asked for a lot, Rune.
I find this really interesting because when I read that, I went, oh no, here we go. But of course, the not affected. It's not really usual that a company would release a security advisory that says this was not an issue.
That's also why we didn't do it immediately, because it is backwards to announce that you're not affected by an issue. And I don't think we won't make it a rule to announce that for all issues in any type of library out there. But there were so many, and it makes total sense because we're using Log4j in Umbraco, right? That's a port of Log4j. So making that connection, I mean, it makes perfect sense. If you dive a little bit into the issue, it's quite clear to see that it's all based on the Java runtime stuff. So .NET should not be affected at all. And that's luckily the case. But we had partners reaching out. We had cloud clients. We had just a ton of people reaching out to our support department, suits. Everyone was just getting pinged for this. So it made sense to have one place to point people to. And for sure, I mean, we could just do a normal blog post, or we could create a little interim web page. But in the end, I think it actually made sense to do it as a proper security advisory and say, this is the proper information. Right?
And actually, as was highlighted in that, people have been thinking, oh, I've got to patch my application if I've got Log4j installed, but it's far less obvious than that. As was flagged in this post, it's cloud infrastructure as well. So if you're running Apache Solar, or there's a kind of log management tool, I can't remember the exact name, which probably a lot of people running big applications will be using, hosted bits of infrastructure. Those are also vulnerable. And so if Umbraco Cloud, for example, was using Solar in the background to do any searching or anything, that would also be affected. So there is potential that you could be affected, even if you're not a Java house, even if you're not specifically using Log4j.
Yeah, that's what I thought about with Elasticsearch, right? Because Elasticsearch as well, some of the services of Elastic relies on Log4j. That's also what we checked for as a second step after Umbraco directly. But yeah, that's good to be safe. At least feel safer, and I truly understand how and why it was released from your side, and it was really interesting to see, as Callum also said, that it was not affected, and of course we also were scared for the first seconds, but then it was all good, safe.
Yeah, it's hard. How do you do that without scaring people? Because I could see when I sent out the emails, like people click those really fast. They've got an incredibly awesome open rate when you look at it.
I was going to create a meme of I see security advisory, I click update. That was that was my idea of doing things, but good, we don't need to do it before Christmas.
Part of it was also that we had to check, like, be 100% sure for our cloud services that we didn't have anything at all in there that was affected by it. Because it's simple enough for us to verify for the CMS and the packages, but we just had to make 100% sure there wasn't anything in there.
Cool. Let's talk about other releases. We will, of course, wrap up the whole year, and maybe
I've lost Marcin
goodbye.
Which
he wrapped up, I guess.
Yeah, he did. It's funny because I was just preparing to just take over hosting the bits of the stream we were about to do, and then when Marcin came back, I closed it all. So I'm going to reopen it, which is super helpful. We'll go to some releases, which is what Marcin was just about to jump to, and Marcin's back. Hey, Marcin, I'll do this bit then, because I've just opened it.
Go for it.
So the releases we were going to talk about are this one. I'm super excited about. I've been talking with Matt Wise for a little while about this one, and it comes back to what I was saying a minute ago about Umbraco shifting perhaps from being web development to more software engineering focused, or the .NET space in general. Feature flags, to those that don't know, is a way of, in configuration, turning bits of your application on and off. So, or potentially changing your logic depending on a certain setting. And it's a really nice way of, say, deploying some changes and then going, actually, that's not worked. Instead of rolling back your deployment, you just turn that bit of change off. And Matt Wise, in his genius ways, has wrapped...
Wise ways, maybe.
His wise ways. Oh, why did I miss that one? Anyway, has wrapped Microsoft's feature management library with a really nice Umbraco package that lets you do all kinds of crazy stuff, like turning property editors on and off. The property editors don't get deleted or anything; they just get hidden and removed, which is awesome. Really, really awesome. There was a bit of chatter about this. I'd love to see a talk about this, or a blog post or a video or something. I'm sure Matt will do one at some point.
So yeah, Matt did a demo on yesterday's Umbraco lab session. That's what Warren said as well.
Nice.
It was demoed already, but yeah, definitely something more to share, especially for users like Callum, who maybe are not on Discord yet, and other people who are not following that ad hoc. But yeah, it's I might have said it last week or somewhere in between of the week. But we've been also working with the feature flags, and we've been discussing with Matt on Umbraco Together event last couple weeks back. It's going to this direction of bundling more .NET stuff within Umbraco builds and Umbraco solutions, and that's a good trend, at least from perspective of .NET developers who wanted to use more of these features and wanted to explore more of these things in Umbraco builds, and it's a great one of the first examples of it. So again, Matt, thank you for sharing it with all of us so far. And another upgrade, I don't know, Callum, if you have it open or not. It was a 4.0. No, it was 4.0 version of Iglo team. So some new features delivered there, and version for Umbraco v9 as well. So so can be installed through the .NET installation and from NuGet. So everyone who was using Iglo themes can upgrade it and see the version 4.0. I didn't check the exact updates yet, but it's as a major version. I believe it's a lot of really good improvements and changes there.
Yeah, they usually include a bunch of really nice improvements when they even when they do minor releases. So looking forward to diving into that one. I haven't seen what's in there yet.
Yep. Cool. So that's about releases. We have some events. This week it was a quiz in London, Umbraco community.
There was. We had Ravi's infamous Christmas quiz, and I'm very proud to say we won for the first time in my life. Oh no, I lie. I did win a Ravi lockdown quiz as well, but my team won, and it was so close. There was a 1 point difference between first and last place. But hey, so yeah, we won. It was great. Good turnout as well. Some nice challenging questions. Learned a lot of random trivia. A lot of kicking yourself when the answer was incredibly obvious. But yeah,
it's usually I've only attended once, but that was like an experience of a lifetime. I would say pretty intense session.
Yeah. I heard a lot about it. Still didn't manage to participate, but one day, I believe. And there was a second event that I noticed. It was a Tech A11Y summit on December 15th.
Accessibility. But
yes, accessibility.
It's the least accessible acronym you could possibly think of. But yeah, accessibility.
Yep. But it was a talk done by Mike there about how Umbraco fetch into the whole movement of improving accessibility and how what kind of works were done around it. And I remember a couple of weeks back when we've mentioned that some from the accessibility tech area of internet asked about products that do invest into the accessibility improvements, and there was a couple replies pointing to Umbraco. So it's again great to see Umbraco visible on this kind of events, especially because of the team formed around it and such a great set of improvements done over the last years. I would say it's a couple of years so far, right?
Yeah, not just that.
I think three years ago they started.
Umbraco actually sponsored this event, so they kind of helped make it happen. And Joe on my team also did a talk there. So there's more and more Umbracians getting involved in the accessibility space and talking events and stuff, which is good to see. Cross-pollinate between these two communities.
Anyone knows if it was recorded? Or
I don't know. I know
that I meant to attend, but I didn't.
I know that Joe's talk was pre-recorded, so I'm sure there's a recording of that somewhere.
Yeah, hopefully. I would love to see it. And the next event, probably the last event. Yeah. Sorry.
I can say that part of the outcome so far of all the accessibility work is also that we're actually pretty good in Umbraco at accessibility compared to a lot of other CMSs. We've also added to the accessibility compliance to our trust center now. So when people are filling out, what do you call it? When you're doing bids for projects and stuff like that.
Oh, like tenders and stuff.
Tenders and stuff like that. Yeah, people look at our trust center a lot, and we've got accessibility compliance in there now nice. with the WCAG 2.1 AA level. As like that's what Umbraco is compliant with, and if anything is not compliant with it, then we view it as a bug, right? So it's something that we'll actually go in and work on.
That's very good to know. And we're gonna have to rebrand. It's gonna have to be the friendly, accessible, whatever.
Fraccessible.
I will find another acronym hard to understand.
That is a good USP, because if you compare to certain other platforms like, I don't know, WordPress, for example, it's an absolute nightmare. Absolute nightmare. from an accessibility point of view, not least because of their ridiculously large packaging or plugin ecosystem as well. But if Umbraco gives us a lot of the tools, I know that a lot of work by the accessibility team was done around directives and components that are used in the back office by packages as well. So those packages instantly just get the benefit of that. And it's clearly going to be a focus as part of the new back office as well. So we're all going to benefit from that longer term.
Yeah, the UI library is already compliant with that stuff. It's got built-in accessibility tests, right? And it's hopefully the goal is that the whole back office will be built in a way where you don't have to copy and paste code anymore. So you'll actually get the benefits, even though you're doing more advanced stuff from updates to the components and things like that.
Nice. And possibly the last event of the year is on Monday. At least Umbraco event that we were counting down to. It's a Dutch festival organized by Dutch Umbraco user group. Callum, you're talking there, and there is still opportunity to register to attend the virtual event part of it.
So I can share some details on this one. The event is still going ahead in person. I will be there, providing nothing changes in the next 36 hours. I will definitely be there on Monday. I'll be hosting track 1, and I'll also be doing my talk, which I'm looking forward to. The event's an interesting one. So the venue's got capacity for 500 or 600 people, but events are capped at the 60 limit, I think, in the Netherlands. Or maybe that's 60 plus speakers and organizers. I'm not quite sure. But it's going to be a much smaller event. So they're running it hybrid. And as was announced yesterday, I don't know if this was entirely public or it was definitely emailed around to people. Anyone who bought a ticket to attend in person and no longer wants to or can't because of the 60 limit, they will be sent a voucher for lunch, or they'll be sent lunch to their home, and they will also be sent a voucher for the swag store, so they can still get swag. So I think they're doing like a virtual swag store this year instead of having it all laid out on a table that everyone goes and touches and whatever. It's all going to be
2022. We will be all wearing swag in metaverse,
it's just going to be filters, right?
One less logistic issue to be solved. But that's a great initiative, to be honest, because we spoke with Hank in London, and the whole event organization during the COVID is generally tough. And uncertainty and all the questions and all the problems are just making it harder and harder. So that's an amazing news that it's still happening. It still will do its best and whatever is possible to make it happen on the level as it's possible. And the agenda is amazing. That's what I wanted to say.
It does look really, really good. Packed, lots of great talks. So you can still buy a ticket to attend virtually. It's not a free virtual event. So you do have to buy a ticket, but that helps support this event and sustain it. And if anything's to go by, like last year's virtual event that they did completely for free, it cost a fortune, an absolute fortune to put on completely for free. And in this case, give back to the Dutch community. The money's not going into anyone's pocket. It's all being reinvested into the community and making sure.
Last year's event was really amazing.
Cool.
So great lineup, I think. And I just want to highlight my colleague Lars from the Coma team is actually doing a talk there as well. It's nice to see someone from HQ that's not just from the development team doing something there. And he is incredibly knowledgeable about email marketing, LinkedIn stuff, and like all of these proper like tech marketing areas. You should watch that if you're at all interested in that area.
So check out the session schedule, and of course we will share the link to register if anyone is interested on joining to the last minute, because it's already on this Monday. So check it out and see it in action. And that's probably the last event in the Umbraco community this year.
I mean,
so
I'd hope, because if anyone's doing an event like
and we don't know
after that, it will be Christmas. Probably everyone's going to be away.
Yeah, Umbraco Christmas Eve or anything like that.
I
Let
do-
us know if you do.
It will be very interesting. It could well be the only Umbraco festival conference between now and Code Garden, given how everything's seemingly kicking off again, and we'll probably all be locked down start of next year. So who knows?
Who knows? Cool. And last but not least of the releases section / talks is a new Candid Contributions episode released this morning with Maria from Microsoft joining the Candid Contributions team. We didn't have time, of course, to catch up on this yet. But it's from what the team shared yesterday. It was all about the minimal APIs, for example, some new .NET stuff, and of course the community and open source in general in collaboration with Microsoft and Microsoft employee. So definitely worth checking it out. And link will be in the video description.
Yeah.
We talked about vulnerability already, but there was also one interesting link that I found. It was a scan of Umbraco source code done by the tool called PVS Studio. That is, I haven't heard about it yet, but the tool does a static code analysis. The team gave a run through the Umbraco code from GitHub, found some findings and suggestions to get it improved. And I still need to catch up on this. And I think it's as usual, all the static analysis tools are interesting to check out, and maybe even Umbraco HQ team or collaborators or contributors can check it and see if it's worth maybe changing or applying some changes around this. But yeah, it's something new. I haven't
seen that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yep.
So this is around code quality and performance rather than and potentially security, I guess. But the things they're highlighting here are unassigned variables or.
Yeah, we've done a couple static code analysis of Umbraco projects with various tools, but it's usually a lot of false positives findings and a lot of nice to haves updates, but sometimes it highlights a really major improvements possible. So hopefully it uses the latest and the greatest code analysis tools and language possibilities. So yeah, definitely worth checking. And
is this for Umbraco 9?
Hopefully, if this is set as default on GitHub repo, I believe so. But it's worth checking. I didn't check it in the details, but yeah, we can do the analysis. We can use the tool, and this is something new what I didn't know about yet. And last but not least, 4 blog posts starting from uProfile of December and Carl, who became selected for this uProfile in December. A story of Carl and his involvement into a community that is obviously visible a lot thanks to his contributions to Script, 24 days, and general community. Some talks about crazy Raspberry Linux-driven containerized Umbraco 9 builds and so on. So yeah, check out.
He's also just really active and helpful on Twitter and on Discord and
Indeed.
Fantastic guy.
True. He is great tips as well about being involved and doing some talks. That's exactly what he was doing recently. And yeah, big high five to Carl and congrats for being awarded with the uProfile of this month. And
definitely an MVP.
Yep, MVP for sure.
Big time.
Corne, who is here with us, hi Corne, shared a blog post after the hackathon in recent weeks, and here it's all about hiding tabs and properties. So very common and interesting challenge to face. Interesting approach here as well with some security accessor for back office and a notification handler to handle that. Basically, it's super secret tab and some sensitive data accessibility.
We get a version of this blog post probably once a year for different versions of Umbraco, and that's great. Corne, you've won it for 2021. 2022, someone's going to do something similar. And I know, to be fair, and I'm not saying this one's just a repeat, because this is totally different to how it's been done before with the new notifications pattern. But everyone before would be like, probably once a year we get a nice blog post about using the editor, editor model sending event and like, oh, I can remove tabs and do all this sort of stuff. It just makes me laugh. People are actually doing this all the time. There's a few packages that do it as well. But
Ali released one package. I don't know if it's public yet, but he was working for quite a while on this, because it was highly requested feature from one of the clients to be able to hide or adjust some visibility of the properties and tabs and general sections of the Umbraco for the normal editors, even though. So
like
it
I
is
said earlier,
still driven by
Matt's feature flag package, I believe, works with this sort of stuff as well, so you can turn properties on and off.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
Yeah, awesome. That's nice.
So yep, that's and two last blog posts from Patrick. One about his updates for packages series, creating Umbraco packages and script manager. General update on the next steps of creating the package and managing scripts within it. And the last one is a beast. It's Umbraco features that Patrick would wish for this Christmas, and I think this is an amazing blog and topic to wrap up our episode by the end of this year as well, because Patrick highlighted a lot of really interesting features, and I saw some Twitter discussions as well started by him on
discussions.
Great information, great feedback from community, and of course we all can have some wishes to Santa for Umbraco features and improvements. And here is a list of Patrick's great ideas of how things can get improved. It was Jeffrey, right, who was doing a series of blog posts back in the days.
My dreams for Umbraco 8. He did a talk as well. If I was HQ for a day, what would I do? Very cool.
Great blog.
We've also said,
and a great Twitter feed as well.
But I was going to say we're going to do our first episode next year. We're going to talk about our wishes for Umbraco, and it will include some of those things, but also probably some other stuff as well. Stuff we've not.
He started a great thread on Twitter as well regarding like asking what everyone wanted for Umbraco, and it was really, really interesting to follow and like extremely constructive as well. And that's also what I really like about the blog post, is that it's highlighting things that are some of them are very clearly things that could be improved, but it's also like coming up with potential solutions or ideas for how this could be approached. Right? I think it's great feedback.
So yeah, that's the summary of the things that happened this week, and how we can wrap up the whole year then, because that's the last umbraCoffee episode before the end of the year. Of course, as Callum said, on the beginning of the next year, we'll try to summarize some of the things, maybe in the more structured way, maybe top 10 or anything like that that can have a dynamic over the things. But Rune, having you here today, how you would summarize this whole year? What are your it's hard to say expectations, but maybe wishes or plans for the upcoming year? Anything like that's already created in your head?
Oh, there's a ton of things rummaging around there. I'm not sure if it's safe for work, all of it, but I mean, I think 2021 has been just looking at the cloud blog post, that makes me really happy and really proud of the work that we've done at Umbraco on the cloud side of things. And actually, at the end of that, I summarize all of the releases for CMS, forms, and deploy as well, because that is a huge part of the value add on Umbraco Cloud as well as all of the services around that, right? But it's just an incredible amount of stuff that we've released, and I'm just really excited for next year, where we're going to continue the release cadence. We've got a community that's more active than ever, both with fixing bugs, but also introducing new awesome features. So I guess I'm really excited about all of it. And then some of the big projects that are coming up, like future-proofing the back office. We're closing the RFC for that one between Christmas and New Year on the 28th. Hopefully, if everything goes well. And that means that in the beginning of the new year, we can actually start implementing the new API for the back office. And then we'll start working on the actual new back office as well. So, that project is incredibly exciting, I think.
I think a theme for this whole year, I've said this before on umbraCoffee, has been maturity. So Umbraco the HQ's matured, the product itself's really matured. V9 was so mature. It's not the kind of thing we've come to expect from a major release. It was so mature, so stable, so early on that was great. We've had, of course, Montero coming on board from an HQ side. We've had Philip moving into the CTO role, which I think everyone agrees just makes lots of sense. The first time you've had developer advocates at HQ, and actually, whilst I'm not in the Discord, people have said to me that they far prefer the Discord to Slack because HQ are active there and they can engage with people, and there's these weekly sessions and stuff, and I think it just signals that things are becoming more structured, things are becoming more mature, which is not something to complain about, as long as it's still 6 point something percent crazy.
6.13.
Yeah.
6. Yeah, but from the community perspective, of course, issues with events, generally uncertainty around the events and the whole communications between countries that we used to, but it's the second year in a row, so unfortunately we need to get used to it as well somehow. But things like that, plus ability to do things remotely. You also, from the HQ perspective, some new remote workers as well, right? So opening some doors for people from outside of the Denmark, and a lot of improvements around general remoteness of the staff, people giving talks, attending meetups across the globe. So a lot of knowledge being shared over the year. And a lot of new developers. Amazing Oktoberfest as well, even though I didn't participate this year. But
it's really good.
Generally, great year. Probably we'll see some more summaries and numbers. People, feel free to summarize the year from your perspective. I love all of this series. By the end of the year, how was this year was for me, for the companies that people were working in, etc. Definitely share a lot of these. We'll definitely spend some time on January's episode on analyzing this, summarizing this from various perspectives, and sharing our perspectives.
I always plan to write one, and then
maybe this year,
really
maybe
never
this year.
really goes to plan. I mean, my blog's been sitting there dead for about a year and a half now, so maybe.
Don't stress about it.
And if not, new year, new you, and stuff like
new
that.
year, new me. I will stop drinking. I will write my blog, and then I'll give all that up after a week. Brilliant.
All the things. Yeah. Of course. I'm actually working on the last product update of the year, so I'll also do a bit of 2021 recap in that.
Nice.
I've done the one for cloud, and now it's more kind of in general recapping the year. I'm looking forward to the next couple of or the first couple of weeks in January as well. So cool. That's the last thing I've got on my calendar for this year.
Very good.
Sounds really good. So we will have a 2 weeks break of umbraCoffees. So we will see each other on the January 7th, where we will.
This is the longest break we've ever taken, Marcin.
Yeah.
The longest break we've ever taken. Well, it's only just a week, but Christmas falls at a strange time this year. So
yep.
Yeah.
But so that's why we want to use this space and this time at the end of this episode to wish everyone happy holiday period, Merry Christmas, enjoy the time off if you have any time off this year, to relax, to recharge the batteries, and to just dive into the new year, new me, new everything, whatever it is, whatever it will be. And if it won't be anything new for you or for anyone around you, just see each other on the next new year, 2022. Hopefully better for all of us. That's all what we wanted to share. Do you guys want to add anything else from your side?
No, I think that pretty much covered it. Oh, mark down the 10th of January in your calendars. There's the Umbraco New Year's reception there,
nice.
which I think everyone is invited to.
Good.
There'll be a blog post about it next week, I think.
Exclusive. We need a klaxon or something whenever we get an exclusive.
Yeah.
Only
I'll definitely have something in the product update about it, and then there'll be a proper invite. I think it was also in U News last week, but Mark that one. We'll make sure to have enough seats available for everyone.
On Zoom. Cool. So yeah, have a good break, everyone. Enjoy the time off, and see you on January 7th. 2 weeks break from now on. Enjoy, have fun, and see you in 2022. So thank you, Rune, for joining us. Have a